Hello, welcome to my APWH History Preview. Today we're going to talk about the Unit 6 Topic 1, Expansion of Imperialism, and especially the New Imperialism. Before we start our class today, we first need to understand what is the difference between the Old and New Imperialism. Old Imperialism from 1450 to 1750 focused on missionary work and plundering of American land and resources, while New Imperialism from 1750 to 1900s focused on Asia and Africa. Also, in Old Imperialism, the main colony is Spain and Portugal located on the Iberian Peninsula, and in the wave of New Imperialism, the main colony turns to Britain, France, and Dutch, which have superior maritime power, while Spain and Portugal became in decline, and German, America, Belgium, and Japan also participated in the wave of New Imperialism. One of many ways the Western Empire used to control their colony is through private company, and one of the most bloody private colonial company is the Belgian King Leopold II's company, which owned the Congo Free State. During the wave of New Imperialism, Belgium is still a newly independent and weak country. Their government is not interested in establishing a colonial rule, but King privately found and owned the colonies in Congo. Even so, that Leopold II named himself as an humanitarian, but he was actually a tyrant, and what he had done to Congos is atrocities and horrible. Many indigenous people being forcibly worked in rubber plantation, and those who failed to meet their working quotas will be punished by having their hands chopped off. Dutch and Britain also have their colonial companies, but compared to Congo, Dutch East India Company is more erratic. They primarily participated in trade, however, they still took over the Indonesia for its plenty of spices, and they even shortly controlled the Taiwan island, but soon be expelled by Chinese merchants called Singa. British East India Company took the India. They established the local government, but lost control in the Sepoy Mutiny when the Indian soldier rebelled. Both the two companies' colonies has been taken over by their government. It means the increase of the state power by the strengthening of new technology progressive, such as the Industrial Revolution. The Berlin Conference is one of the most important topics in the New Imperialism. To prevent the infight of European countries, the Prime Minister of Germany, Otto von Bismarck, held the Berlin Conference to distribute the land of African to European nations. This is the so-called the Scramble of Africa. And the arbitrary division of land called the borders of African country are mostly straight lines, rather than divided by mountains or ethnic groups. In order to prevent the British from connecting the north and south of Africa, Germany and the Netherlands acquired the lands between Cairo to Cape Town, which was the so-called the German East Africa. The settler colonies is another way the Western Empire used to control their colonies. Settler colonies is a state sent its own people to a colony to eliminate the culture of indigenous people and replace it by European culture. The French delayed paying Algeria for its wheat, so the king of Algeria insulted the French envoys. The French then invaded Algeria and established a settler colonies there. The British 13 colonies in America and its colonies in Australia is also settler colonies. Since an European country took over the control of the land, mass of immigrants will migrate to there for land, religion tolerance, and more opportunities. It will form a culture similar to Europe, and the disease they carry will wipe out the isolated native population, for example, the smallpox to Native Americans in American continent. There is also many other colonial power we haven't mentioned. America as a newborn country spread its power not overseas, but priorities through the continents. Through the Louisiana Purchase and the westward movement, settlers moved from sea to Shining Sea, which is the Atlantic to Pacific. This was the so-called the Manifest Destiny, while for Indians it is the so-called the Trail of Tears. And in Russia, the notion of pan-Slavism led this huge and modern nation to expand its authority to all Slavs who even live in foreign states. In Far East, the Tsarist Russia occupied a region of Qing dynasty and renamed it Vladivostok. It practiced the same policies in Mid-Asia. In this period of imperialism, the Japan is the only world power in Asia. It should be thanked for the Meiji Restoration. During the Black Sheep under Japan, under the Matsu-Paris War and colonial threat against Japan, Japan ended its isolation, abolished the shogun, and brought back the Emperor Meiji. He then sent samurai and scholars to Europe to study about European science and politics. Japan quickly modernized its military and state, established the Diet, which is the parliament, and won the Russo-Japanese War and the Sino-Japanese War, took over Manchuria and Korea, thus establishing its imperial identity. European power justifies their act of imperialism by scientific racism and social Darwinism. The scientific racism is a scientist using fake science to prove that one ethnic is better or worse, and through claiming that white people is more advanced than other ethnic to justify their exploitation in their colonies to the spreading of the civilization to barbarism country. Social Darwinism spreads the survival of the fittest to society. They argue that because the Western society has been prosperous, industrialized, and advanced, so the white people is the fittest ethnic. And all other ethnic need to accept white people's lifestyle and social structure, and because they are the strongest, so that it's not morally corrupt to plundering weak countries, because it is what thing happen in nature. As the last, we have the white man's burden. That is the notion of white people have duty to bring the glories of Western civilization to savage civilization. And in order to spread this civilization, Westerners often send Christian missionaries to convert people to Christianity, and build westernized government in their colonies, and establishing westernized education in their colonies to eliminate the local language and culture.